Hey friends, welcome back to Jenny Food. Well, today we are going to be spicing some things up. We are going to be making some snacks on snacks on snacks. You know what I'm saying? We are going to make some sweet and spicy cashews, some buffalo pretzel sticks, and a dill pickle Chex Mix. What? These addictive and irresistible treats are perfect whether you're camping, whether you're RVing, whether you're going on a road trip, or you're just having people come and hang out at home. These snacks are perfect. I mean, really, when are snacks not a good idea? Let's do this. First up, we're going to do those sweet and spicy cashews. I've got my oven preheated to 350 and I've got a 16-ounce bag of raw cashews. And of course, to make this, you want to start with raw cashews because we're going to actually roast them. And to that, I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of coconut oil. Now, of course, you could use butter. I'm just trying to save a little bit of my butter because I got some baking plans coming up. So coconut oil is perfectly acceptable. We'll just dump that in. And then I've got 1/4 cup of some local maple syrup. I happen to have a friend who taps his own trees and he's my supplier. And to that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 3/4 teaspoons of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now, if you make these and they're a little too spicy, you can always pull back to like 1/4 teaspoon if you want to. I just know that I want a little bit, I want that heat and that spice because that's what I like. So we're going in with that. Now, today I don't want cayenne pepper all over my fingers. So I'm going to use a spoon and get all this mixed up. Come on, brown sugar, get in there. We're going to get everybody coated with those seasonings and that syrup and that oil. And really, that is it. And we're going to put that on parchment behind me. Our nuts are ready. So let's grab those 2 pans behind me and we'll get those nuts roasting. I'm going to give those just a little bit more of a toss. Make sure everybody's good and coated. And then I'm going to put half on this tray and I'm going to put the other half on that tray. And I'm going to go ahead and use those 2 trays because I really don't want, at the end of this, you don't want them, they're so sticky, there's sugar and syrup, so you don't really want them sticking together. So I'm just going to go ahead, make sure that they're all kind of separated a little bit. All right, we're going to get those into our 350-degree oven for 5 minutes, and then we'll stir it and put it back in for another 5 minutes. All right, our nuts are out of the oven, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep kind of stirring them. Whoops. Try not to lose that. Hold on. And kind of separating them because, actually, I don't want them to stick together. I'll have to break them apart when they cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of separate those with my spatula. I think everybody's good and coated. Just don't want them sticking together. We'll give that second pan. Ooh, these were on the lower rack and they got just a little bit more toasty than those. They look good though. They smell good. All right, our nuts are out of the oven. Now, I ended up adding like an extra 3 minutes, so that was 5 minutes, stirred, and they were in there for a total of 9 minutes. But it really just depends on your oven. As you can see, the lower rack kind of got a little bit toastier than the upper rack, but that's okay. We're going to mix this all together anyways. But I did go ahead and I separated the nuts from each other because I don't want them sticking together. And that's why we're using the parchment paper. If you don't use parchment paper, it's kind of a lot to clean up at the end. So we're going to let these cool, and then I'm going to give them a taste, and we're going to talk about it. And then we'll move on to our next recipe. All right, friends. Snack number one is all cooled and ready to try. This is our sweet and spicy cashews. I mean, would you just look at that? How beautiful are those? They are beautiful and crispy and wonderful. Let's give them a taste. All right. I'm going to go in for one of these really crunchy looking ones. Mmm. You're having me at crunchy nut. And spicy and sweet. Mmm. That is delicious. That is, so we had um, half of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper for 16 ounces of cashews, and that is perfect. That is not too hot. I mean, I guess if I probably kept eating them, it would probably build, but it's like a very warm, it's not like punch you in the face heat, that and you get that sweet, and that's just enough maple syrup and brown sugar to just really it's not like a hard candy crunch, it's just like a perfect crispy crunch on those. I mean, come on, how good are those? I'm a textural eater, so I appreciate this. And just like that, we're moving on to recipe number two, buffalo pretzels. I've got the oven preheating to 300 degrees. I've got my 16-ounce bag of pretzels. So in a saucepan, I've got 1/2 cup of Frank's Red Hot. I've got a half a stick of butter that we're going to melt along with that. I've got 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire, however you say that, the Dub sauce. I can never, Worcestershire, the W sauce. Anyways. All right, moving on. We've got 2 teaspoons of garlic powder and 2 teaspoons of onion powder. Now, I didn't add any additional salt to this because I know those pretzels are going to be salty. Let's heat this on the stove until it melts. All right, I've got this in my saucepan, and we're just going to keep stirring until that butter is completely melting. We don't necessarily need this to boil or anything. It just needs to be warmed and all together melted. All right, our sauce is completely melted, kind of warm. So I am going to get all of that off there. And then, whoo, just got a whiff of hot sauce, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to dump that completely over all of those pretzels. This could not be any easier. That looks good. And buddy, I am smelling buffalo. All right, just like that. And we're ready to put those on pans and put them in the oven. All right, we're going to get those pretzels. I'm going to do half on one sheet. And I'm going to do the other half on the other sheet. Look at those. I'm thinking this might be one. I love buffalo. I mean, I love buffalo chicken. I get a hankering sometimes for a buffalo chicken salad with greens and cabbage and carrots and blue cheese and buffalo chicken. So good. And then I just eat like buffalo salads for a few days and then I kind of move on. But I certainly crave that buffalo flavor. Okay. Snack number two is done. That went 30 minutes in a 300 oven. Now we stirred those every 10 minutes, so twice we stirred those. And now they're done and they're cooled, and so we're going to give those a try. I would not eat these. Go ahead and let these cool all the way because they won't be crispy until they're all the way done. Mmm. Did you hear that? Those are crispy. Mmm. Mmm. Those are buffalo-y. Mmm. Definitely spicy. Mmm. I love it. Mmm. I'm so glad I did not add salt. Mmm. I got a batch of boys that love spicy things. I think I might have to take this to their house. All right. We're moving on to snack number 3. All right, friends, we're on our 3rd recipe. This is dill pickle Chex Mix. I am so excited. And the reason that I chose this recipe is that I have a group of boys. I teach a middle school youth program at my church. And there is a group of boys that all they talk about is dill pickle this and dill pickle that. It's dill pickle Doritos, it's dill pickle chips, it's dill pickle snacks. And so I just thought I would do something fun for them and I would take this in for a snack. So we're going to make this for them today. I've got all of my ingredients laid out here and we're just going to get everything into the bowl. Now I have 2 cups of pretzel squares on the bottom here. And then I have a little over a cup of just plain mixed nuts. And so I will put those in first. And then I've got 2 cups of white Cheez-Its going in right on top of those. I've got 4 cups of Rice Chex cereal. I'm so excited about this. And then I've got 4 cups of Corn Chex cereal. And so that is all of the fixins. And we'll put these over here. Actually, I'll go ahead and use this bowl to mix our next ingredient. So I have, in this bowl, I have 1/3 cup melted butter, and that is salted. So I'm just going to put that right into here. I love a good Chex Mix. All right. And then I've got 1/2 cup of dill pickle juice going right in there. And then on my little seasonings plate here, I have 1 tablespoon of dill. I have a little over a teaspoon of dried chives. I have a teaspoon of onion powder. I have a teaspoon of parsley, a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to slide that all right in here. And my thought is to mix that up first before we dump it. Get that all together. Ooh, that smells really good. I know these boys are just going to love this, so I can't wait to see the look on their faces when I pull this out for snack. All right. Ooh, that smells very dilly. All right, I'm going to get a large, just going to get kind of a wooden, not a wooden spoon, but a wooden spatula. And I'm going to gently pour this over top. That seems like a lot of spice, but I know that we are going in. I'm just going to kind of drop that over top of this. And then we are just going to kind of work that. Whoops. Maybe I'll use that spatula. Ooh, that smells good. We are going to work this into this mix. Just kind of gently. We're going to keep folding this until everything looks like it's coated. All right. You know what? My hands are clean. I think I'm going to have to go in. Take my ring off. I just washed them, but I think I'm going to need to use my fingers to kind of move some of these spices around. All right, our mix is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and grab these 2 sheet pans on the back here. And I'm just going to, we're not using sugar today, so there's no need for, I don't think there's any need for parchment paper because it's not going to be sticky. We're just going to kind of scoot everybody on the pans. And then we are going to put this in the oven. The oven is set at 250. And we'll check this in 15 minutes and then in 15 minutes again, and then we'll pull those out after another 15 minutes. So I'll see you in 45. All right, our dill pickle Chex mix is out of the oven. I'm just gonna let that cool and then we will give it a taste. Friends, our dill pickle Chex mix is now cooled. I've got it in a bowl and I'm gonna go ahead and give this just a little taste for you. I think the Cheez-Its are my favorite part. I went ahead and shook just a little bit extra dough over the pans right before I put them in the oven because I really love dough and I know these boys that I'm making this for love dough. But it's not overly dilly. I think my dill that we used was from fresh pickles, so it was less vinegary, so I'm not getting a lot of the vinegar that I thought I would, but I mean, it's delicious. It's awesome. So I would definitely make these. I can't wait to take these to the boys. I'm sure that friends, I just want to say thank you for watching. That's it for our Snacks on Snacks today. You can get the full recipe for all 3 of these wonderful snacks in the description box below. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.